And we're live. Welcome to another live episode, guys. So today's episode is going to be a little bit short, just a few announcements. I'm going to be doing some more training as far as air because a few people have reached out to me on Instagram, and I've also got a few emails regarding the software and how there's been just about some slight issues with basically getting it to work. So for that, I'm gonna be doing another tutorial. But today I want to talk about something. I just actually finished working out, and I just finished working out, so I was like, you know what? I want to talk about something today. I want to talk about the three things that you need to do to basically live a more fulfilling life. Now, does that mean I have a more fulfilling life? It depends on your definition of what fulfilling is. Because fulfilling for one person, for person A, could be completely different to what fulfilling means for person B. It is all very subjective because it is all pretty much dependent on your environment. It's all dependent on the obstacles that you had to overcome, and it's all dependent on basically the people and basically the goals that you have set for yourself. So fulfilling is up to you. So, but what I want you to do right now is I want you to take a moment, pause, and I want you to write down right now and say, you know what? This is what fulfilling life means to me. It's not always monetarily, but some people basically base your life off of money. Some people base your life off of, how many people like them. If that's what fulfilling is to you, then go ahead and do it right now and say, you know what, this is what fulfilling means to me. But now let's go ahead and talk about the first thing. So, which is I want to go ahead and share the stats with you guys here really quickly. So, this is something I found out that basically one of the key things here that I want to talk about first, before I go ahead and share that statistic with you, is the importance of exercising. The amount of people that don't exercise is what baffles me. And as you guys saw there briefly, there's a 39.4% of people don't exercise. So 39.4% of people don't actually ever go into the gym or do whatever exercise, according to the CDC, right? I think that CDC has a higher number, but that is a survey. I think it's print or something, another article. But a lot of people don't exercise. A lot of people don't um, put into the fact and understanding that your body and your mind are all connected. If you exercise and you take care of your body, what ends up happening is a sound body means you're also going to have a sound mind. A sound body means you're also going to have a sound mind. As you guys are joining now, please do me a favor and go ahead and hit that like button as well and subscribe to the channel as we continue going here. Like I said, I'm bringing this to you live, even though I have to run in the next 20 minutes, but it's going to be a little bit of a short episode here. So a lot of people don't exercise or prioritize their health or prioritize their mind because they live their life in a very robotic pattern and then they lack something called motivation. Now, one of the things I'm going to tell you is I personally don't believe the motivation is real. I think motivation is an excuse that most people make up. Most people make up the excuse of like, I am not motivated to go out there and work. I am not motivated to go out and do this. The reality is this is I've covered in the previous episodes that if you read in the Bible, there's a part of the Bible where God says that I am the I am, right? I am, right? So basically, God referred to himself as I am. And when you say I am not motivated, it's a prayer upon yourself and saying that you are not a motivated person. When you say I'm not rich, you're saying you're praying upon yourself that you are not rich. When you say I can't do this or I am not somebody who does this, you are identifying with that thing that you basically fear, that thing that basically worries you. And this is why the study for to me where it says 39.4% of people never exercise. Is it that they don't exercise because life is I don't even know what to call it, but is it because they're like, oh yeah, I'm not someone who exercise, or I don't know anyone who else who exercises in my family. But you know what's interesting about the study is this is 39.4% of Americans never exercise according to the study. You have, luckily 22% of people actually exercise 1 or 2 times a week, and you have about 7.8% of people that actually work out every day. So it's very easy to be in the top 10%, and there's a reason why the top 10% of people actually succeed. Now, I want you to think about this here, where you have the state of the survey and the data, where you have 39.4% of people that never exercise, right? And I want you guys to take a look at that and keep that in mind. And then we're going to talk about another survey, another stats that I'm just going to basically glance at to show you where it's basically talking about how 42% of people say here, right here, according to a Pew Research Center, showed that 42% of US adults under the age of 50 reported difficulties in finding the motivation to work. Obviously, it's talking about a pandemic, but sometimes past. And you have basically there's so many ads here. Respondents between ages 18 to 29 express difficulties motivating themselves at an even higher rate. Okay, so which is 53% of people between 18 to 29 say they don't have the word motivation. I'm going to tell you something, guys. Motivation is not real. The whole concept that you're going to get motivated, it is not real. Motivation is not real. I don't know who needs to hear this, but motivation is not real. You see, motivation is like a shower, right? If you take a shower today and you don't shower tomorrow, you are going to stink. Okay. If you take a shower today and you don't shower tomorrow, you are going to stink. Okay. Same thing is this. In a sense, if you Motivation is something you have to constantly do every day. You have to constantly do every day. You have to constantly motivate yourself. You have to constantly be in a position in which you're like, you know what, I gotta motivate. I gotta be motivated. I gotta be motivated. I gotta motivate. I gotta motivate. I gotta motivate. I gotta motivate. Because let me tell you something. This is how I can't remember where I watched this, but I saw this on a different podcast where someone was like, he goes, the way I look at motivation is this: is motivation comes from action, right? The emotion comes from the motion. It comes from the action. It comes from the activity. It comes from you basically doing the thing first. Once you do the thing first, as you do the thing, then you feel basically the need or whatever energy you need. So there's a formula that I use, and this is a formula I got from him. Was it's called AIM, right? So it's action, inspiration, motivation, right? You take the action, and in the action you get the inspiration, and from the inspiration you go ahead and get the motivation. But the first thing first, and the first key first, is you need to take action. You need to get your body moving. You need to get, I don't know who's listening to this or who's like in that position where they need to hear this, because the reality of life is this: is if you are living in life and you're giving yourself the excuse that I'm not motivated to go out there and go chase my dreams. I'm not motivated to go out there and go become a better individual. I'm not motivated to go out there and go do this. You are living in a life where you are basically self-limiting yourself. You're living in a life in which you're basically not even reaching your full potential, and you're living in a life in which basically it's because I'm gonna tell you this: the life is very competitive. The job that you want, someone else wants it. The life that you want, someone else wants it. And if you're not in a position in which you're going to work out, if you're not in a position in which you're going to exercise, then you're just going to be left behind. Straight up facts. Facts. That's an American thing. I had to learn this, but facts. Okay, you're going to basically, you have to get to a point, you have to get to a position in which you have to do things regardless of how you feel. And I want you guys to take a look how exercise is actually good for your brain. Exercise is, I'm going to tell you this right now, exercise is something that is phenomenal. What are some behaviors that science has shown will
100%.
make them feel better?
Exercise. And I don't just mean physical exercise. I mean movement throughout the day, not just your Pilates or CrossFit, but as your body moves, your brain grooves. When you exercise, it lowers stress in the body. When you exercise, it's good for your heart, and what's good for your heart is going to be good for your head. Oxygen and blood flow to your brain.
What are some behaviors
That's
that
it.
science has shown will
100%.
make them? I did a today, which is funny, is I actually am guilty of this. The reason why this episode is short is because I did a 90-minute workout. I did a 90-minute workout, and the reason why I work out every day is because is when you work out every day, you first thing first is you get out of bed, and I'm gonna see if I can pull this up at some point and show you guys what I used to work out with. But it's basically a set of resistance bands, and I basically use them to work out. And when I use them to work out, for me, it's from a perspective, it's from a mindset that I feel great, I feel so alive, because my brain is firing on all cylinders, my mind is firing on all cylinders. And that's basically the same standpoint that you need to be looking at it from a perspective of like, you want your body and your mind to be connected. So the first thing first, if you want to live a much more fulfilling life, you have to come to a position in which you have to connect your mind and your body. Okay, and the only way you can connect your mind and your body, because the mind and body has to be one. Okay, the mind and body is connected, and the only way you can connect your mind and your body together is by actually exercising. And if you're in a position where you're like, oh man, you know what, I don't want to wake up early to exercise, then you are literally putting yourself in a position in which you are in the bottom 40% of people who do not prioritize your life. In the bottom 40% of people that do not prioritize your goals. You're in the bottom 40% of people that genuinely do not prioritize actually being somebody in, I'm pretty sure you guys have heard this. I mean, turn on YouTube, any channel is going to talk about how you got to be motivated. I got to go out there and do the work. But the point is, if you've heard it 1,000 times and I'm saying it to you and you're still not motivated, that's honestly your fault. That's your fault. I'm going to tell you right now, that is your fault. Okay, because my job is to, I won't even call this my job, but my the way I look at it from a perspective is I live a life. This, I can only speak for me, where I put myself through things because I know I want to be the better person out there. Or I want to be a better person for me, because then again is I want to make sure that I maximize the full potential of what life has offered to me. Because the reality, I'm going to tell you guys this: life is so short that you sleep for one third of it. It's so short. Now I want you to think about it. If you sleep for 8 hours a day, which is one third of your life, and for the rest of your life, since you were like zero, you slept for 8 hours a day, right? And you live 90 years. 8 hours a day is one third of your life. There's 24 hours in a day. So we're going to assume right now you slept for about 30 years, which means you slept for 30 years and you spent, so which means out of 90 years, you only have 60 years that are actually useful, that you're actually active, your body is up, and you can actually move. And why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up for you to because I want you to get to a position and get to a perspective where you're like, you know what, I'm going to be the better person that's out there. I'm going to do the best that I can possibly do for myself, and I'm always going to put my mind and my body together. Okay. Now I'm going to breeze through this here. The next one is the second point here is basically is understanding the importance of living in the present and letting go. Okay, so you have to live in the present and let it go. Now I'm going to show you this stats, which is a very interesting statistic here. But how many percent? What percentage of people do you think are actually living a stressful life? What percentage of people do you think are actually living an actual stressful life, right? So, according to this found, 20, this is from 2022, you had 84% of Americans report feeling stressed weekly, and you had people being stressed for money, people being stressed for bills. The thing is this, I'm going to tell you this, is imagine this, is you stress over things that don't matter. I know you're like, oh my God, but I have to pay rent. I have to do this. I have to do that. I mean, yes, absolutely, you do. No one is saying you don't have to. 100% agree that you have to do all of these things. 100% agree that these are things in which that you have to do on a daily basis to basically live your life. But here's the most interesting thing and the most interesting perspective I want to kind of get to you so you guys can kind of understand this. You are stressing about things that once you finish them are still going to come again. Your rent is still going to be due next month. It's still going to be due the month after. It's still going to be due the month after. There's always going to be more rent to be paid. There's always going to be more bills that are going to be paid. There's always going to be things that are going to happen. If you live it, if you kind of think about it as you zoom out from life and you zoom out from a perspective where, the more you zoom out, like, you are one person in your county. And then you zoom out even further. Now you're one of 1,000 in your county. You zoom out, you're one of 10,000 in your city. You zoom out, you're one of 200,000 in your state. You zoom out, now you're one of two, 20 million people in the country. And then you zoom out, and then you're one of 7 billion people on the planet. And then you zoom out, and then you're basically just a speck of dust in the galaxy. It doesn't necessarily matter. It's all going to come and go. That's the way you kind of look at it. And also another thing is you have to tell yourself is this is when you're stressed out is because you're living in the future. And when you're living in the future, here's the thing is this, I want to tell you, the future is not certain, and the future is something that you do not control. You do not have any control over the future. You have zero control over the future. When I mean zero, you have zero control over what's going to happen tomorrow. The only thing that you have absolute control over is what's absolutely happening right now. You don't have control over what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't have control of the people. When I lost my father and my sister, I didn't have control of that. All I know is I got a phone call saying that they were passed away. I didn't know that. I didn't know it was going to happen. I remember I spoke to my dad at 10 a.m. and I remember that it was October 2017, October 30th, 2017. I spoke to him at 10 a.m. in the morning. By 6 p.m. that day, I got another call that he had passed away. I didn't have control of that. The same thing. If the thing about it is when you're stressing about something that's in the future, you don't have control of it. The only thing you have control of is the actions that you take in the current day, in the present day. It's Saturday right now. Everyone's going to be out there having fun, going to the park, doing things that they have to do, which is fine. But the thing is, this is you have to live in the present moment, because when you are stressed out, worried, and anxious, it's because you are living in the future. Your mind is not in the present. You need to bring your mind together. You need to bring it to the present, right? And another thing is this is I want to say, if I want you guys to listen to this, because this is going to talk about a little bit more about manifestation, but it's still going to bring about the point that I kind of want to bring full circle there. This is gonna dive into a little bit talking about manifestation, but like I said, I want this to kind of bring this full circle, right? So we're gonna listen to this, all right? So it should play here.
If you want to manifest something, you have to start with it. The foundation for manifestation is always the present moment, it's not the future. Jesus explained it in one sentence. Whenever you pray for something, believe that you have received it and it will be given to you. Now, the key is that he did not say believe that you will receive it, because that puts it into the future. He said, when you pray for something, in other words, when you want something, believe that you have received it. If you want to manifest something, you have to start with the foundation
And what
for.
he said is, I mean, just think about it. What he said, just think about it in your life, in your perspective here. What you're not doing is most of you are living a life in which you're like, because even he said it. So she said it's like whenever you pray for something, believe that you have received it, right? Believe that whatever it is that your object of your desire, the object of things that you want, you need to believe in it that you already have it in the now, you have it in the present. I know it's gonna sound crazy, but it's like you have to. Like, I've always lived by the saying that you attract in life who and what you are. Okay, who you attract to yourself, who you are, and what you are, nothing less, nothing more. So when you believe in something and you say, I have received this, I am living a happy life. If it's having kids, you're like, I have a son, I have a daughter. I feel great knowing I am a parent. I feel amazing knowing, that I have my dream house. I feel amazing knowing that I have my great job. I feel great. And you do the reason why I say the word I feel when I say things is because I'm imprinted on the subconscious mind, and whatever you put feel into because the subconscious mind to make whatever it is that you want a reality needs the fire is basically your emotion. The more emotion and intensity you put to something, the more you bring that to a reality. When you say, I feel great knowing that I can achieve this, I feel amazing knowing that I have this, I feel great knowing I have the dream car, I feel alive knowing that I'm living in my great house. The more you say, the more you feel it, the more you rejoice, the more excited you are, the more you actually put that into your subconscious mind. Because the thing is, this is what you tell yourself is very, very important. And we're going to talk about the impact of negative self-talk. But what I'm just basically trying to bring to mind and bring to you to full circle is basically saying, the concept of you have to believe that whatever it is that you want, you have it. But then another thing that we have to basically talk about here is we have to talk about the concept of you also need to learn to let go. You need to learn to let go. You need to come to a perspective where you need to learn to let go. You need to come from a point in which you are like, whatever it is, you put it out there and then you let go and wait to receive
You know
it.
how people do
Okay.
wishing wells? They throw a coin in, they forget about it,
Yeah.
and then the thing shows up because they had an intention, then they let it go. They didn't even think about it anymore.
Right.
And once you release your grasp, then you give up your resistance, and then that which is for you will
That's
come
the
to you.
aha moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when you want it, it doesn't show up.
Yeah, your message to the universe at that moment is, I want it, I want it, I want it, I want it, which is translating into, I don't have it, I don't have it, I don't have it, I don't have it. So you can't receive. You know how people do
And
it?
that's the thing is it's a thing where you're like, okay, it doesn't make any sense. I want something, but you're telling me that I have to let it go. But then it's like I'm translating to the universe that I don't have it, but I don't have it. You're like, but that just makes logical sense. So it's like I don't have it. And I'm going to say something to you. This has something ever happened in your life that you couldn't explain why it happened? Maybe a near miss or a person that came into your life that you're like, oh, you know what, I would really like to have this type of partner. And then you have the person, and then usually most people sabotage it, but then you're like, I have it. It's in the sense as to the way the universe. Okay, I want you to think about it in space, right? I want you to think about it in space. I'm going to use this element of space because we're kind of running a little short on time here. But there was a thing where there's light years, right? I was talking to a friend of mine, and he gave me this experience. He goes, whatever you're looking at in the stars, you're looking at the past because it's already happened. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. I was like, if somebody from another planet, 10,000 light years away, which is 10,000 years away, looks into, because everything is all a concept of time, looks at, or 20,000 light years away, 100,000 light years away, looks into, from a telescope, looks into Earth, they will not see humans. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. He goes, because you have to understand it's all relative to time, right? And based off of what they're seeing from their perspective, 100,000 light years, which is 100,000 years ago, human beings don't exist. What they're seeing, they'll be seeing dinosaurs. I was like, what? That kind of sounds crazy, dude. What are you talking about? He goes, yeah, think about it from the concept of time is the way time happens, the entire thing in time is all the past, because there's no concept of time in space. There's only concept of time in the earth, because our reference to time is basically how much the earth spins on the axis around the sun. Right? So it's like, but everything else has a different perception of time. So when you're out millions of years away and you're looking at Earth, you're not seeing us. You're seeing, and the reason why we're talking about this, we're talking about aliens. He was like, I was like, do you think aliens are real? He's like, well, I think aliens are real, but they just don't think they just don't see humans on the Earth yet. I'm like, what do you mean? Because what they're seeing from their perspective is they're seeing dinosaurs, and it's like it's probably gonna take them another million years to catch up. But when the time catches up, they're like, oh wait, look, boom, there's humans. Or if they're already on their way, they're still millions of years away. So which means another generation or so, maybe 10,000 generations from now, are going to see it. I was like, that's interesting. But then the main concept, the main reality of it is I was like, that's what that makes so much sense. Is in the sense as to time. It's all concept of time. So I want you to think about the grand scheme of things as a universe. And what I want you to think about is whatever you're wishing for, it has to be coming from the past, because when the universe looks into your life and it's like, oh, I still see dinosaurs because think about it in the perspective of whatever you wish to, if everything all happened as happened but happened in the past, and the way time is perceived in space is all basically perceived as the past, then it's only true that you need to basically act as though you already have what it is that you have, because everything, the way the universe works is it works basically off of the past, right? So your future has to become your past, in the sense as to whatever you want in the future, you need to believe that you have it in the present, because time is very relative. And the only concept of time we have is on this planet right now, but you have to think of time outside of yourself. I'm going to dive into that a little deeper, but I don't want to kind of get drowned into that perspective there. So that's the concept of this: is you have to understand whatever it is that you want, you're thinking you already have it, because the universe works on the presence of past. Okay, presence of it doesn't work on a concept of future, because what you see in space has already happened. So that's basically how you got to look at it. I know it's kind of crazy, but that's basically the way to think about it. The third one here to live a meaningful life is be careful of what you tell yourself. It's so many times, I was talking to my girlfriend, and this is where it kind of comes to, and this message is for you because she watched my podcast. She has a very, we're talking about a negative self-talk, and someone told her that she was very pessimistic. She was being very, she was being a pessimist, right? And I was like, and to me, I've always had a belief and had a concept and had a mindset that life on its own, right? It's not what happens to you, it's how you react to what happens about you, right? Because if somebody calls you a name or curses you out, it is up to you. It is up to you to agree with that and accept it. Because if you get offended, if somebody tells you you're ugly and you get offended, it's because deep down you believe it. If somebody tells you you're not going to amount to anything, you get angry, it's because deep down you believe it. If somebody tells you your life sucks, it's because deep down you believe it, right? That's why you put emotion to it. But if someone tells me, oh, you're ugly, I'm like, okay, cool. And that's your opinion of me. You're entitled to your opinion. That doesn't bother me in any way, shape, or form. But that's the same way in which when you're pessimistic in the sense as to life is happening around you, but you necessarily your view of life is very negative. That's why you believe that whatever it is happening to you, you internalize it, right? So when you have an optimistic perspective, I'm like, nothing is nothing. It doesn't rain every day. It doesn't rain 365 days out of the year. It only rains for a few hours or a few days at the most. But the sun still comes up, which means nothing is permanent, which means it is up to me to internalize and accept that whatever negative things happening right now, I have to understand that it's only temporary. But I have to keep a positive outlook of things, because you have to have a mindset of indifference and not caring about the good or the bad. If it's raining today and it's sunny today, I'm still excited regardless, right? So it's not about pessimism or optimism. It's about the fact that, regardless of whatever happens, I maintain my frame. I maintain my emotional control, because I cannot let the outside influence the inside. You need to let the inside influence the outside. Okay, I don't know if you understand what I mean. And now this is another way in which Jordan Peterson kind of talks about this. And there's a lot of people that have this negative self-talk, and like talking about. I'm kind of running a little bit long time here, so we're gonna kind of we're gonna skip on that. But there's this negative self-talk of people talking about, my life is stop listening to social media hacks. I mean, true, that's true. But there's a lot of people that basically are coming. Good message. All right, here, and then I have another one here. Stop listening to social media hacks. Stop being bootlickers for 80-year-old. Okay, that's interesting there. But no, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people that basically my train of thought there before we're gonna wrap up here really quickly because I have to go, guys. But there's a lot of people that have this inner self message, this negative self message that they have, where they're like, you know what, I am. I'm gonna tell you this. So growing up as a kid, my siblings used to play a prank on me. So they knew it hurt my feelings every time, because they'd be like, "You adopted, you adopted, you adopted." So they would always play, but deep down, I was starting to believe it. So I'd always go to my mom, and be like, "Am I adopted?" I'll go to my dad, "Am I adopted? Am I adopted? Am I adopted?" But they would always keep saying this. And I remember there was also as a kid. So they would always play this prank on me as well. This is pranking. My siblings would play prank on me, and then kids in school play prank on me, and they'll be like, "You have a big head." And then I had the nickname called the Hammerhead of Horror. I had a big deal, like, dude, because I genuinely did have a big head, right? But I was like, I would always feel bad about it. And then one day, my sister told me, she goes, You know that's you have good grades because you have a big head. And I was like, you know what, you're right. You're right. She goes, because you have bigger memories. You can store. And she was laughing. She goes, you have a bigger RAM in your system, so you can store more data. So it made me laugh. But the main key thing is this: is imagine growing up and you growing up in life, and when you grow up, every time you're basically people are telling you that you will not amount to anything. Your parents don't believe in your dreams. They don't believe in your vision. They don't believe in basically in you, right? They tell you that, oh, you can't sing, you can't run, you can't this. The thing is, this is the most influential time for a kid is between the age of 0 to 7. Like if you want to teach a kid, can like your mind is like a sponge, it can absorb a lot. Now imagine if all you've been absorbing as a kid is just negative self-talk. Negative self-talk. The environment has been telling you you're not gonna amount. Oh my god, what are you? What do you think you are? Right? But the thing is, this is most of those people, they don't mean what they say. They're just projecting themselves on you. They're just telling you that you're not going to amount to anything. You're not going to be anything. You're not going to do anything. It's just them basically projecting their life on you. They're just telling you about themselves. But then we tend to believe and accept other people's opinion. And then we accept the negative self talk. And then we grow up and then we look ourselves in the mirror at 30, 35 years old. And we're like, we're not going to amount to anything. Because life in its own, it's not what happens to you, but it's about what you do when it happens, right? And this the thing is this: you have to think about it. The mental programming that you have in yourself, you got to ask yourself this: is if my parents told me I'm not going to amount to anything, and I've kept that message now for a long period of time, in the next 30 years, this is the life I have, then you got to ask yourself, in another 30 years, do I want the same thing? No, because you're just going to get older and you're going to get older with more body aches. Now you're just going to have more negative self talk. Or you're going to look at a positive outlook of life and just live a better, happy life. And that's all the message I have for you guys today. And thanks again for everyone joining me. Thanks again to Planet Keebler. Absolutely great. Definitely go subscribe to his channel. He does some good work. Definitely go check him out. Eugene, it's absolutely always amazing having you on. You are always awesome. And I love your insights. Thanks again, guys, for everyone being on today. And obviously, as again, you guys have a great Saturday. And I'll catch you all tomorrow, Sunday. Enjoy. Take care, everyone.